Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I was just watching BookTube, covered in dog hair, laying on the couch, fully horizontal, and I saw Alex from What Page Are You On uploaded a new video. So I ran to watch it because he hasn't uploaded it in a while, and it was a tag video and he tagged me in it. And I was like, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do it right now before I lose steam and don't want to record anymore. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a tag video. It's called the book Postscript Tag for 2021. It's kind of like year-end wrap-up vibes, which I usually don't morally believe in until December is over, because I feel like a lot of people put out end of the year content before the month is over. Anyway, we're gonna do it regardless of everything I just said, so it's okay. We'll be reflective, not finite. That's gonna be the vibe. Should I turn on my Christmas tree? Probably should. Oh. You weren't even ready for that, were you? A few questions, 10 questions, we'll get started. The longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to finish. I recently actually fully transferred over to Storygraph. I have been like an early bird beta user for probably over a year now, but I was still using Goodreads because Storygraph's app interface was so bad, but they just updated it and it's like a usable app now and I'm liking it. So all of that to say, Storygraph is really data heavy and it'll definitely be easy to find that. Okay, the longest book I read this year was The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. And I'm not sure if it took me the longest to read that, but I remember reading it for a good like 3-week chunk of time between October and November. That's a long chunky novel for me, family saga if we've ever heard of one, and I really liked that book. I think Jonathan Franzen plays with length and holding readers' attention spans and the lack of sparseness, right? He's kind of a storyteller who, in my opinion at least, needs boundless energy to kind of explore. And I think that makes sense for books that are about a ton of characters. So that was the longest book I read this year, The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. And if I had to guess what book took me the longest to read, I almost feel like it would be Warmth by Daniel Sherrill, because it dealt with topics of climate change and was really depressing and I didn't want to pick it up. So that was just by necessity that I had to really dip in and out of that one. It wasn't particularly long or anything, it was just heavy on the old heart. 2, a book you read this year that was outside of your comfort zone. The first one that comes to mind is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I'm not a classics lad, but I'm trying to be a Virginia Woolf lad. Not a super impactful book for me by any means. I'm interested to read more Woolf, but I'm not sure if I started with the right one for what kind of reader I am. How many books did you reread this year? 0. 0 books have been reread this year. I was actually toying with the idea of making December a reread only month. That's gone out the window already because I'm only reading books that I've read before right now, that I haven't read before right now. But again, as I look forward to the future, I want that to be a part of my reading habit. I have never been a big rereader, except for like chapter books when I was little, and I think it's so important. And a lot of the smart writers and readers I respect make it a part of their routine, and it's just always that kind of time bargain of, am I gonna reread something or am I gonna discover something new that might blow my mind? But I've wasted a lot of 3-star books this year when I could have just been revisiting some favorites. I would really like to read Fake Accounts again. That's the first one that comes to mind out of my 2021 reading that I need to revisit and would like to, because I read that at the very beginning of the year in January. Favorite reread of the year? Nothing. I've got nothing for you, I'm sorry. A book you read for the first time this year that you look forward to rereading in the future. Wow, rereading heavy. I just said Fake Accounts by Lauren Euler. I would also say Second Place by Rachel Cusk. I read that this year. It was pretty incredible. would love to revisit and dive deeper into that text. I'd also really like to reread Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison, because that book is operating on so many levels at the same time that I'm sure a few of them washed over me upon my first reading. I wonder if it's really loud and you can hear my street. You probably can because you're sitting in my window. I'm sorry if it's been loud this whole video. Favorite single short story or novella that you read this year? The first one that comes to mind is the group like frat teen boy party story that's featured in Brandon Taylor's Filthy Animals. That has stayed with me for a long time. Really memorable, and I thought that was the strongest story in that collection by far. Mass Appeal, a book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. Oh, that's hard. I think maybe The Performance by Claire Thomas is a good, like, incredible is a 5-star read for me, but that is a good book that could reach many different people in different places in their lives. It has a pretty vast it has a pretty diverse cast of characters that we're following throughout, who are all at different stages in their lives, and grapples with some really basic human condition type of questions that I think no matter what your identity is, you've been faced with before, all under the guise of like art making, meaning making, set amongst doom and like this overwhelming looming sense of the climate apocalypse. But it's not heavy-handed. What I just said is more heavy-handed than it is. I think everyone should read that book, and it was incredible. Made me want to read Samuel Beckett, and I'm not a play lad. Specialized Appeal, a book you liked but would be hesitant to recommend to just anyone. Ooh, I feel like that's a lot of my bookies. Bookianas. Maybe Sarahland by Sam Cohen, only because it's so surrealist and queer and over the top and kind of like gonzo and zany, that if it wasn't someone I felt comfortable with recommending it to, I would feel like a weirdo. Really amazing collection of short stories though. I take back my answer previously about what short story has stuck with me the most. It's actually the one about the 2 lesbians turning into trees voluntarily in Sarahland. That was incredible. Reflect on your year as a bookish content creator. Goals met, good, bad memories, favorite videos you made. 2021 was a good year. I can't believe, I'm having a hard time, not only when I reflect back on booktube, but like my life in general, of discerning between 2020 and 2021. Definitely feels like we got a 2-for-1 kind of package deal on that, right? But if I have to keep it succinct and like think of my bookmarks of reading as starting with Fink Accounts and ending, you know, sometime in the next 2 weeks, I think it was a really good reading year. It was kind of like the year of autofiction and Deborah Levy and DWMs for me. I enjoyed digging into that genre and trope that I love so much even more, but I'm excited for 2022 to bring more diversified perspectives and authors in my life. YouTube, going great. I feel like I'm kind of goalless with YouTube. My coworker actually asked that of me the other day, like, what's your goal? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to have it keep being fun, and when it's not fun, then I'm not going to do it anymore. I think the big like fun thing that came to fruition in the latter half of the year is Sunny's, the book truck that I'm opening. That's still slow and steady, making progress in the background. Hopefully getting it painted here in the next couple of weeks. I've continued going on like used book buying journeys and escapades, and hoping to release some merch here soon, and getting into like building and programming in the first half of 2022, which will be really fun. I think that's the biggest like life-changing, altering thing that's happened adjacent to booktube for sure, is, you know, the real commitment and delving into book selling, attempting to be a bookseller mobily. Yeah. And then also it's been amazing just connecting with more people this year. Got to meet Jalen, which was incredible. And furthering my bonds with my internet friends. Favorite videos I made? See, that's also hard for me to distinguish between 2020 and 2021. I feel like I really liked having Kiki do the Kiki Cooks Thanksgiving special. I didn't make that video and wasn't responsible for it, but I think that's a good, earnest kernel of memory preservation and why I'm using the channel for some of that, if that even makes sense. And lastly, tag some fellow bookish content creators. Alex already tagged every single person I've ever met, so if you're watching this and you want to do it, do it. Thank you, Lucas, who I think is the original creator of this video, or Adam. I will post the questions in the description box below, and if you want to do it, do it. See you tomorrow for Sunday reads. If you're watching this in real time. Goodbye.